how do the Warriors get appreciably better? Larry has a thought. No one's going to want to hear it, but it involves Klay Thompson and a plane ticket.
Yeah, I mean,
or a train ticket or a bus.
Yeah, I mean, this is really hard. I was in the arena when Klay went for 37 against the Kings, and it was one of the greatest moments of my viewing. It
was in
life.
Sacramento, right?
No, it was here.
Oh, Sacramento was here.
It was a Thursday night. It was a Friday night at the Coliseum, and it was the most incredible thing I'd ever seen. I mean, it was just raining down shot after shot after shot. And the joy that was that so often permeated the whole arena over there, even in the bad years, was at a unbelievable level. Because the Warriors with their whole, remember, it was a good time out, and then you remember that was like one of their themes.
And the Kobe Bryant 5-game pack.
Right.
But come see the other team.
Yeah, come see Shaq and Kobe.
Totally.
But yeah, I mean, it was. I always felt like there was the one thing I love about the Warrior fan over the Giant fan, Niner fan, Shark fan, college fan is that the Warrior fan derived a lot of joy out of watching their team, even when they sucked year after year after year after year. And so when they got good, it was like, oh, this is so enjoyable. It's even more enjoyable than normal. But that night was amazing. And so it's like I've always had this. And then I'll tell you this, also getting a chance to go to a couple of these events where Klay Thompson's there and seeing him interact around my boys and around other little kids. It's like Klay Thompson is like a jumbo child. At least he was as a young player. And he just has fun, and he makes the kids smile, and he makes them relax, and he acts silly, and they love him. And it's just... he's got an unbelievable charisma that I think is almost second to none. And
yet you want him gone.
And yet I don't.
You want him gone by Saturday.
I want him gone. No, I don't want him gone. But I don't think that the Warriors. I mean, if you want to run it back next year and just run it back and kind of go through the motions and basically, have a nice regular season and everybody gets to root for the players they are comfortable rooting for and, keep the narrative going and, we kept the whole band together and this hunky-dory thing. If you want to do that, that's fine. But I really think if you really want to win a championship and have a parade, you're going to have to make a hard decision along the way. And
by along the way, you mean between now and the start of the year?
I don't think they're a championship team.
Without making a hard move.
Yeah, I don't.
888-957-9570. Come down Larry's Road. Scott is in Orinda. He's got an idea on what to do. What's going on, Scott?
Hey, guys. Everything's great here. Great to have Larry on the show. And I do agree that they're not appreciably better as is, even if they bring back Draymond. Here's my idea, and it follows along the lines of what the NFL does. Why don't we restructure the top 3 or 4 contracts and back end them a little bit? And worst case, why wouldn't someone like a Curry who's got more money than you'd ever need, including endorsements, a Klay, a Draymond, a Wiggins, take a few million less to win and get another ring? One for the thumb.
Yeah, thank you for one for the thumb, Scott. It's just
right?
Flat against the rules. A card laid is a card played in the association. And while I borrow from Tim Roy, shout out to Tim Roy, who got a National Broadcaster of the Year award earlier this week.
Oh, he's
pretty awesome.
Kidding me? I mean, I love Tim Roy. Tim Roy and I sat poolside in Winnipeg when he was the voice of the Sacramento Gold Miners.
Double drop.
And I was I was doing personnel and scouting for them and coaching for them, and we're sitting there poolside in Winnipeg.
You're making this up.
No, I'm telling you.
I'm going to need pictures for proof here.
Poolside.
Krug and Tim Roy, poolside in Winnipeg.
Poolside in Winnipeg.
You're coaching and he's broadcasting?
Boy,
yes.
That's a tough one.
Get me Tim Roy on the horn. We might need an emergency Tim Roy.
Tim Roy and I go way, way back. I love Tim Roy like a brother, man. And I think Tim Roy is one of the most underrated announcers in the Bay. I mean, people talk about great announcers. They often skip Tim. And to me, Tim and Tom, I think, are just magical together on the broadcast.
Pretty fun to hear them just
yucking
because Tom can make Tim laugh, and Tom just wants to get Tim laughing.
Oh, Tom's the best, and Tim's the best, but together, I mean, they're both good, but together, it's great.
Pretty fun.
It's incredible, yeah.
No doubt. Leroy or Leroy depending on how you pronounce it. My son's middle name is Leroy, French for the king. This is probably Leroy, and he wants to weigh in on how the Warriors get better. What's up, Leroy?
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's a pleasure to be on. I'm always listening, but I rarely call. I just wanted to say I'm a big Warrior fan, and I think like for the last 3 years we've kind of screwed up the draft, man. You know, I didn't want Wiseman and I didn't want Kuminga, and I definitely didn't want these two guys that we just got. I mean, with Cam Whitmore sitting out there was another guy named Bryce Sensabaugh sitting out there. There was another guy named Kobe Brown sitting out there that fit that need that you guys are talking about. You know, guys that, you know, can stretch the floor, 6'8", 6'9", that can shoot. And oddly enough, all those three guys that I just mentioned are going to be in the Western Conference. I think Utah, Clippers, and Houston. So the Warriors are going to have to deal with those three guys. But I think how we get better next year, to answer your question, is Kuminga and Moody. We're going to have to throw the kitchen sink at them as far as development. And the Warriors are going to have to throw everything they got into these guys and get these guys ready to go, and they're going to have to play better. And if they can play better, if they can be like a Porter in Denver or Brown in Denver, man, and just dedicate themselves to upping their IQ and really learning the game of basketball, then I think we'll be okay. But right now, they really don't have a choice. Bring Draymond back, and hopefully Kuminga and Moody can be what the Warriors thought they were going to be.
Thank you, Leroy. I appreciate the deep dive on the draft as well. I'm with Leroy in terms of
really,
you can't trade Klay Thompson. I don't think that you're going to get the player back. I don't think that there is another team out there that wants to part with their $40 million player. You're not getting Dame Lillard for Klay. You're not getting Paul George or Kawhi for Klay. You're not getting Jimmy Butler for Klay. So
how about Cat?
I mean, I don't want Karl Anthony Towns. I think that
Why?
Because I don't think that he's a winning player.
That's what they said about Wiggins when he was there too.
Well, and it took Wiggins a lot to get to that spot here. And, you know, Wiggins might be back to the Andrew Wiggins that he was in Minnesota. That might have been a blip on the radar.
You don't think that, right? Come on. You think Wiggins is the player that we saw in Boston?
I think Wiggins is more like the player that we saw this year and the player that we saw before the championship run. A guy who is content on the weak side. He's going to go 5 for 12. He's going to get you 14 and 3 and 1 accidental assist. He'll play good defense, but I don't think that Andrew Wiggins has that dog in him, and I certainly don't think that the Cat has the dog either, pun intended.
Well, I mean, I hear you on the Cat on Karl Anthony Towns. It's just that he's not old. He's got great numbers. He's 27-year-old big man. We're talking about what kind of big man do they need? They need a shooter. Minnesota's paying their three centers an ungodly sum.
It's like $400 million over the life of their deals.
You could move Klay there and get that deal done. And yeah, I think they'd have to throw something else in there because Klay makes 43 and the Cat makes like 37. Something like that.
Yeah, he's making 33. I know he's making 36 flat next year.
But you get bigger, you get younger, you get a big that you can use and fits with your other bigs if Draymond comes back. And, you know, I mean, to me, it's like, I don't think Minnesota's looking to get out from underneath cash, right? I think they would buy out Klay, and Klay could go somewhere else. He could go play for the Lakers or go play for whatever.
Minnesota's in a mode where they want to give it a go, at least with the three bigs that they have. I think they just signed Naz Reid.
Yeah, I think he's not going anywhere.
I think Gobert would be the more likely player that they would look to trade, and I certainly don't want Rudy Gobert here.
No, I wouldn't do it for Gobert. But for Karl Anthony Towns, what is the negative on Karl Anthony Towns? I feel like there's like some inside dope on Karl Anthony Towns that I'm not privy to, because the numbers are good. And yeah,
the numbers are good. I think that he fancies himself.
When I've seen him against Golden State, I thought he looked great.
I think at times he fancies himself as a two guard, and
he's too soft.
Yes, I don't like to call players soft.
But you're calling him soft, basically.
No, I'm saying that he thinks he's a two guard. He's 6'11", 250, and he wants to shoot threes.
I hear you.
I mean, James Wiseman is cut from the same cloth to me. If I'm going to get a big...
Really?
James Wiseman wants to be a two guard.
I know, but Karl Anthony Towns can actually do it. James Wiseman, I think, has kind of got some marshmallow tendencies as well.
Well, he's got a long way to go to beat Karl Anthony Towns.
I'm just saying, breaks right for James Wiseman. He could emerge.
I'm just saying, big man who favors the perimeter more than he favors, rolling up the sleeves and really getting after it. Anthony Towns averaged 0.6 blocks a game last year at 6'11".
Right, he's not a shot
problem.
Blocker, but he's a bit. Here's the thing
he's not really a rebounder. Rebounds down. He's down to 8.1 a game.
I know. But, I mean, you're talking about 27-year-old big man who averaged, 21 and what was his rebound total?
8.
21 and 8?
He played 29 games, Coach.
And here's the thing about it is that Minnesota, wants to get out from underneath that money. Now, if Joe made that deal, that would be you're taking on a lot of money. Because doesn't he make 50 next year? Like the year after
it does go up. Let me get you the exact
50 and
numbers.
54 or something. It goes way up.
It's 49, 53, 57, and then a player oppie for 61 in 2028. So if you want the cat, you're getting all 9 lives, Larry.
I know, but I mean, to me, that's intriguing. That's intriguing because now you're
talking. Can I get a reaction first before you browbeat me over the legal? I thought that was really good. You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ, FM, and HD1, San Francisco. Always live on Twitch, YouTube, and the free Odyssey app. That's a problem to me, those numbers. So you're getting him for, that's 85, 138, 195. If he picks up his player option, you're looking at $260 million.
It's a big commitment from Joe. But how old's Clay?
Clay is 33.
Yeah, so you're getting a player 6 years younger. I mean, that's quite a bit different. I'll say this, dude. The one concern I have about letting Poole move on is the points. You got to respect when a guy goes for 20 a night in the NBA. You got to respect that. And if you're adding that, you got to understand what you're adding. But if you're subtracting that, you got to account for that. And I don't. That's the one thought on. Why I'm a little nervous about the life after Poole is where are those 20 points coming from? And we'll get into the minimum guys that are out there.
Yeah.
One guy who I think could give them a lot of points, and if his body's right, is T.J. Warren. T.J. Warren is a big-time scorer.
Right.
And if he's healthy, I don't know if he is, but if he is healthy, that you could replace some of that major offense that you're losing with Poole with Warren, then I would feel a little bit better if you had another scorer like that. Because not only that, you're losing DiVincenzo, who gave you some offense, and you're losing Poole. You're losing 2 guys in their prime. It's like you better come up with some points. Otherwise, I think you're going to be challenged a little bit to score. I mean, that's a lot of points out the door.
I'm more concerned about the minutes, honestly, than I am the points. And Jordan Poole last year played 2,458 total minutes, and I just did the math. That's 8%. He led your team playing 8% of the minutes. You're not going to have Chris Paul play that much, so it's going to be Paul playing half those minutes, and who else is going to play all the minutes that he ate up because he played 82 games. And Jordan Poole averaged about, 30 minutes on the dot. So that's a lot tougher for me to replace than it is tougher to replace the points. The points will come. Chris Paul will get you 10. Kuminga with an uptick. Moody hopefully comes up a little bit. You'll find a way to make up the points. From the Comcast Business text line, the 415, Cat is the softest big man in the league. Also from the 415, Wiggins hater. I'm not trying to hate on Wiggins. I just don't. Until he shows me that he can be that player again that he was in the push to the finals, I'm going to have to wait for that.
Really, I looked at Wiggins' situation last year as just, it was off-court situation. It obviously there were things that interrupted. I'm okay with his game. I have
fine.
I have no problems with his game. I have more problems with just the fact that he didn't play forever and obviously hurt the team. He was in his prime last year. One of the few guys they had that was in their prime. They needed him badly. He wasn't there for them. But I mean, whatever. He had his own personal thing. That's a 1-year deal. That last year was an aberration, right? Come on. I think you got to.
In terms of games played, yes.
Yeah.
But in terms of what he did when he played, this is the player that he is. For the Warriors, over 193 games, which is 4 seasons, 1 injury riddled, 1 truncated. He's averaging 17.8. He's going to get you those 18 points. He probably won't get you more than 23.
He's a very consistent
He won't get you
scorer.
further than less than 14. No, that's my point. He's your guy. And if he's your third best offensive player, which he likely will be this year, you need him to be more like the Minnesota player when he was averaging 22 a night.
I hear you, but my concern was more about that he didn't give you this year and in these playoffs the rebounding effort that he gave you the year before. To me, when they won the championship and he was just an absolute menace on the glass.
On the glass, yeah.
That's when we got the best of Andrew Wiggins. That's when I think we really saw him get to a level he's never achieved before. I need to see that Andrew Wiggins, but it's not about the offense for me. It's about the rebounding.
To me, it's about the defense. I don't need the rebounding, and you're not going to get the rebounding. He's 4.5 rebounds for his career, and he's never been below 3.6, and he's never been above 5.2.
But he had that breakthrough. What did he do in the playoffs 2 years ago?
Yeah, he got double digits, and they all made a point of it in the post game. Like, yes, Andrew, this is what we want, but you don't get that consistently.
Well, that's effort, though, right?
But with Kevon, I don't think you need the rebounding. You need the defense, and if you want to find somebody to take up the slack in scoring from Jordan Poole, here's your guy. Andrew, instead of getting us 17 a night, how about you get us 20 a night?
Yeah.
Or you get us 21. You got to look to score. Too often for me, Andrew Wiggins becomes just a weak side player who's just kind of...
He forgets his offense. I agree. He's too passive offensively. But it makes you wonder: is that why he gets along so well in their chemistry? Because he doesn't force up a lot of bad shots, and he's kind of passive. Yeah, he probably undershoots, but I think Poole maybe overshot. So I don't know. It's interesting because Wiggins. They always say, well, really, he's fit on this team. Incredible. He's fit well with these guys. Well, why does he fit well? Because he's like kind of easy breezy on the offensive end. It's like, you know what,
right.
You want to take the shot? All right, I'm cool with that. It's like he's very. The word I would say is passive offensively.
Yes, and now you need him to be more aggressive without
assertive.
Jordan Poole. We got some vet min props for Larry here coming up on the other side. We've got some yes/no questions that I'm going to have Larry answer, and maybe you folks can play along as well. 888-957-9570. A lot of anti-cat commentary.
A lot of people hate Cat, but
on the Comcast Business text line from the 650. You're considering trading Clay for all the drama you get with Cat. No thanks. Clay hit 300 threes. Towns is a horrible defender. Sucks on defense from the 650. Anti-Cat, Larry.
A lot of anti-Cat out there.
On the text line. Let's go to Paul in Oakland about a Clay departure. What's going on, Paul? What are you doing?
Gentlemen, thanks so much for taking my call. Dibs, you said something just a moment ago, and it slipped right through. It was a brilliant question.
Thank you.
And it leads into what I wanted to talk about, which is you asked the question, are you talking about the first day of the season? And that is where, what I'm going to say makes terrible sports radio because we got to talk about the now. But in the now, we only have so many options. Dibs, you've been hoping for Marcus Smart.
Thank
Didn't
you.
happen for us, but that's for you. Should have upticked it. But anyway, I think we're, no one wins the championship in the first few months of the season. It's going to take a while, and there are going to be things that we're going to learn about this team. Other teams are going to be learning things about their players, and people are going to come available, and they're going to be buyers and sellers. So who we start with is important, but not critical to who we end with. That's for thing one. That takes me to Clay. I don't think Klay Thompson goes anywhere unless Steph Curry signs off on it. And I just don't see that happening with the way that Clay has come back from his injuries, with the heart he's shown, his ability to play. How many times did we say before the playoffs that Clay's averaging his career average in points? He's improved as a defender. So I think that's going to be a tough sell, not just to fans, but to the guys that are going to get the call, like, what do you think about this, and sign off.
Yep.
And then the last thing I'm not hearing about Jordan Poole's trade, and then I'll get off this call, is I'm not hearing enough about Jordan's impact on the other young guys. Now, I'm not there, obviously, Paul from Oakland, but it's got to be the case that as the guy that was the youngest one in the lineup, kind of the leader of that younger pack, as he got disgruntled, even before the punch on his playing time, and then he got the big bag. I just can't believe that this year he was not an impactor on those young guys. His pouting, his clapping back at the refs, his failure to listen to things over and over that Kurt wanted to have happen. I just can't believe that didn't have an impact. So
yeah, thank you, Paul. I appreciate that. And we got many more callers. We got to let you go on that note. And it's a tough thing for a young player to be asked to overcome all that. We all want to say, oh, he's a pro making a bunch of money, but you get popped by your esteemed big brother on the team, and then you're a starter, you're on the bench, please shoot, please don't shoot. There was a lot of yo-yoing that he had to go through. Did he handle it with maturity, class, and aplomb? No, which led us to where we are now.
You know, we describe this this altercation like Draymond, like it came out of nowhere. I mean, Draymond, got in his face, and Poole's the one who got physical first, and Draymond
that's not
ended it.
I mean,
that's true. Is what it is.
Yes, but there's getting physical. There's me throwing a paper airplane at you, and you pulling out a baseball bat and smashing me in the ankle.
Well, I mean, it was.
Are you with me though? It was an escalation sensation, is what it was.
Yeah, but I mean, so what? I mean, I've seen all kinds of fights on the court, and I've seen all kinds of fights on the street, and
Right.
There's a big difference between if somebody gets in your face, if you want to fight. If you don't want to fight, then don't get physical.
If you get in my face, I'm the only way for me to even think about punching you when you are nose to nose with me is to get you off.
I know,
me.
but it wasn't an attack on a child. This wasn't an attack on a civilian by somebody who's 10 times the size. We're talking about a 6'4" athletic guy who got physical with Draymond. Draymond ended it. It was a one-punch deal. But I mean, it wasn't like he sat there and went up to him and Jordan Poole said nothing, was a total innocent bystander. There was nothing going on, and Draymond just attacked him. And come on, it was a fight between two guys. Let's get over it.
We can
It
talk.
was a fight.
A fight is two people going back and forth. It was a cheap shot. It was a sucker punch.
No, it was an argument, and then Jordan Poole got physical first, and Draymond ended it.
We can get into this. I mean, we could do the whole rest of the show on this. We've all seen it.
Yeah,
I can't stop seeing it.
Right, but I mean,
who leaked it?
It wasn't an attack. It wasn't like some guy was sitting there. You see people innocently attacked every single day. That was not what
We're
happened
using
there.
words that are not accurate. It wasn't a fight. It wasn't an attack, but it wasn't something that Jordan started. Well, we can get into this, Larry.
Just saying. It was
I've got
two guys who fought, not one guy who fought.
One guy fought, and one guy got put to the ground.
One guy ended the fight.
Yes. Yeah.
But the other guy put his hands on him first.
Yeah, he sure did.
I mean, seriously,
he sure did.
Have you ever played pickup basketball with anybody and you go nose to nose?
Yes.
And it's a
when you push somebody, it usually doesn't then result in the other guy flying out of his shoes.
I don't know, man. It's
and
like
knocking you out.
I don't know. We have different codes then, because to me, if
from
you
the
go
mean streets.
you go nose to nose with somebody,
I know.
and you don't touch them, then you go nose to nose.